Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Yasmin. I'm 22 and I'm a mom to 3 little girls. I just came up to Millie's room. Hi. Yeah, the girls spent the day this morning at my grandma's, went to the gym. I went and did like a little study date with my friend at Starbucks. Thank you. We're gonna keep it right here though, okay? No, thanks. No, thank you. My friend was like studying, invited me to come, so I got some like random work stuff done with her and hung out with her while she studied, which was fun. I wanted to do like a little kind of life update thing. Also, I just got a package in the mail, so I was gonna do a little haul. I filmed one earlier for Instagram and I'm gonna do one on YouTube as well while I do this update. Also, I'm gonna show you guys girls' bedroom. I had to clean it, but I took down their bunk beds because if you guys have like seen in the videos of us like decorating and cleaning their rooms and stuff, the girls have this like little bunk bed. So this is Millie's room, and then right next to Millie's room is Laela and Anna's room. They have like a bunk bed that looks like a little house. It has a slide. They just sleep together in the same bed, and I was getting really tired of changing the sheets on the bunk beds. I honestly just don't recommend it. Unless you have to have bunk beds, I don't recommend it. It's so annoying, especially when your kids aren't potty trained and have accidents sometimes. So I just took down the bunk beds and we're gonna put them somewhere else, do something else with them. As of right now, they just have their mattresses on the floor, which honestly I kind of think is a better option for them anyway. I'll give you guys the room updates, but also want to give you a little bit of a deeper life update. The girls are watching Aquamarine right now because I just saw on Instagram, I don't know when you guys will be seeing this, but I just saw on Instagram that it is the 17-year Aquamarine anniversary. So it just reminded me and I was like, oh, the girls need to watch this right now. We just watched it not that long ago, but I was like, they're watching it again. Really quick, Dermstore haul. I just got this little shipment of stuff from Dermstore. Thank you, Dermstore, for sponsoring this video. Dermstore basically sells like a whole bunch of just like skincare, beauty, makeup products all like in one place. But I got a whole bunch of like essentials that I've been wanting. Let's start with the makeup. I actually did this order with my sister and I had her like recommend me her favorite stuff. The first thing I got is this Analia tinted lip oil. I think hydrated hyaluronic acid. What's the color? How do I know what the color is? Only you. I don't know if that's the color. It says it on the bottom, so I'm guessing that's the color. She cute. Then we have Grande Glow Plumping Liquid Highlighter. I actually already put this one on, but I'll swatch it on my hand as well. It's like a liquid highlighter, which I've been needing one of those. And it's also supposed to like plump, so I guess just like plump up your cheeks. Cute. So that's like the makeup products, and then the skincare stuff I got. So excited. I want to start doing skin cycling for my skincare routine. I've talked about it before. Basically, you do like an exfoliant the first night, and then you do like a retinol, tretinoin, whatever, like retinoid. And then the next 2 nights you just do moisturizing. But in the different routines I saw on TikTok, I feel like these two were like almost always in the lineup. It was this for the exfoliant, Paula's Choice, 2% BHA liquid exfoliant, and the snail mucin stuff for slugging, I guess. Thank you. I don't really know if this is actually like snail. I think it is actually snail. I don't really know how I feel about it, but I used to collect snails, so like I'm not that scared. Grandma recommended this one, Dr. Dennis Gross Triple Correction Eye Serum. This is like a super fancy one. Yeah, I'm excited. The last 2 things that I have are this Clean Rinse Clarifying Scalp Serum by Sunday Riley. I've been wanting a clarifying shampoo, but I saw this clarifying like serum. I heard good things about this one. It's like supposed to help like clean your hair of all of like the product buildup. I try to only wash my hair like once or maybe twice a week. And so yeah, so it's supposed to just like clear out all the product buildup from all the different stuff you put in your hair. Cocoa Rose Coconut Oil Body Polish from Herbivore is the last thing. I've been needing a good exfoliator. That is all for my Dermstore haul. You guys can check out the link for Dermstore. I'll put it down in the description, and you guys can use my code YASMYNDS for 15% off for new customers. Exclusions apply. As always, we're gonna do a quick rainy day cleanup in all these rooms. Okay, and this is the girls' bedroom right now. It looks like a wreck, but we took down the bunk beds. Just have the 2 beds right there next to each other. So I'm gonna clean this up really quick. girls literally brought confetti from a package up here and threw it all over the room. So after I make the beds, I'm gonna have to like vacuum it up or something. Is that comfy? You match the blanket. This is how it looks right now. Not super like decorated, or obviously there's kind of random pillows and stuff and blankets, but I think it could be cute. And the mattresses are different heights, but I think it can work. And honestly, they've been loving it because they can like have their own beds but still be like right next to each other. I think they like to sleep together because they're like scared at night, or at least Laela is. So I'm gonna come up and vacuum this confetti, but at least their rooms are Millie. At least the rooms are mostly clean. And also they had a white curtain up here that was just like didn't work very well on the rod. But I switched it to this pink one, and then Millie has the same exact one in her room but blue. So now the rooms are kind of actually like, their themes are really going right now. Gotta clean off their little dresser thing here, and then we're good.
Get it, girl. Let's move.
The girls are about to eat dinner, I think, because it's like 4 or 5 now. Logan's downstairs with them feeding them, and I think because it's a weekend they might sleep over at my grandma's tonight, which they were gonna just stay there and sleep over, but they wanted to come home first, and we gotta pack their stuff anyway. So I just came up to my office like podcast room because it is quiet up here. I wanted to come on here and give an update on my sort of family situation, because I don't want to be like, feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again, but I feel like I just have given so many little bits and pieces of the story over the past year. And giving an update, seeing my little brother on his first birthday like a month or so ago, there was just so many questions and assumptions made, and I feel like a lot of people are really confused, and people are constantly asking for updates because it's one of those stories, I guess, on my channel with my family that like everyone knows is an ongoing thing, so everyone's like wondering when the ball is gonna drop on like what is happening with that. With good intentions, I think everybody just like wants to know that everything's okay, and I appreciate everyone's support and everyone like caring so much alongside me. It means a lot to me, which is why I wanted to give an update on the situation. And I actually was going to wait until next week, because this week and next week is like a lot of big dates, I guess, for us. So I'm gonna give the full update. There's so much background for anyone who's like kind of new here or doesn't really know what's going on, so you guys might be a little lost if you don't know all the background, but most of you guys probably know all the background. As you guys know, last year my mom had a baby right after I had Millie. If you guys didn't already know, my mom has been an addict my whole life, has substance abuse problems, been on and off of many different substances, and it is something that has really negatively affected our relationship, her life, my life. My grandma pretty much mostly raised me. As of right before she had my little brother, we didn't really talk very much at all. She had been living with my grandmother. My grandmother was raising my 2 little sisters about a few hours away from me, and I had been trying to convince my grandma to get out of this situation. She just had a toxic relationship with my mom. Obviously my mom was not stable, and my sisters were always like calling me upset about how everything was going with things in the household. So for a long time we were trying to convince my grandma to move out here with my sisters, and finally we helped her do it this last spring. So Logan and I went and helped her move out of her house, and she retired and she lives right by us now, and it has been the most amazing thing having her live right next to us. She keeps the kids all the time, and she loves having the, like, our girls over there, because it's like she really gets to like be a grandma to them, and it's so fun to watch, and like honestly means the world to us that she's like able to help us and we're able to help her, and we actually get to have like the family community feel with her, because it was never like that. Like when she lived far away and had my mom there, I never really got to go to her house because I knew like obviously what my mom was doing there, and I wasn't really comfortable having my kids there. Anyway, so there's that. So my grandma moved out here, and when my grandma moved here, my mom was living in the basement, and we packed up the entire house. My mom lived in the whole basement, and we packed up the entire house, emptied it. It got deep cleaned except for the basement where my mom was staying. My mom had a lot of warning, months of warning. It's not like my mom was paying rent or had any type of like lease or anything like that, but she refused to leave when my grandma left. That made my grandma unable to sell the house. Legally, we were not able to remove her from the house. We had to go through a whole court process where you file something called a wrongful detainer. that took me a minute. It's basically like going through the eviction process, but for that specific kind of situation where you don't have like a lease and like all that stuff. Went through that process. So that obviously like relationship with her and between her and my grandma and then me and her was like weird. We always sort of act like nothing's going on in person. It's weird. But not that we really see each other in person, but so this is the house situation, then we'll get into my brother's situation. Finally, after the whole summer of like trying to just work things out and her saying like, oh, I just need another week, I just need another week, I just need another week, we finally went to court and filled everything out to have her legally removed. That was the end of July. And once you file it, they get like 30 days. I guess it's 30 days notice. I guess they get served, like, you know, notified of the wrongful detainer being filed. I don't know all the right terms to use, so I'm gonna like sound really dumb here, but they get 30 days. So then 30 days after that was end of August. End of August comes, and then after that, if they don't leave, then they schedule a court date, which in most places, this would probably take maybe, I don't know, a few weeks. Not in Prince George's County, Maryland. Everything there takes like 10 times as long as it should. I feel like every single person that we've talked to, like whenever we call anyone for information about like what we can do about this situation and my brother's situation and every other situation we've had to deal with in that county, everybody always says Prince George's County, Maryland just takes forever and it's just like so unorganized and is a mess. Like when it comes to their court system at least, and like honestly I went to school there and their school system wasn't like the best either. It took forever. They finally scheduled a court date for February. 6 months later. She just got to live there rent free for 6 months while my grandma was here, finally retired, still raising my little sisters, still had to pay her mortgage for her house that she was supposed to be able to sell for 6 months. So that in itself was frustrating. Like it's just felt like this weight. And I talked about this in a video in the past, but it just felt like this weight, and it's not even my burden to carry at all, but it's the people that I care about, because also we're gonna go and help deal with whatever's left to deal with at the house once everyone's gone. So it's like we've just been kind of waiting on it. So we had this date coming, early February, and it was actually kind of funny because it was both my brother and the whole house thing was supposed to be in early February, and both of them got pushed back. So early February comes, the court date's about to come up. My grandma tells me she pushed it back, and once the court date comes, then finally like they have to leave, like no questions asked, like they have to leave. We talked to like the police department there and everything. They have to go, and my grandma can finally empty out whatever's left in the basement, sell the house. If you're wondering what's going on in that basement, I honestly don't even want to know, and you could probably only assume. My grandma moves the court date. It's April now. Now it's like about a month away. But my mom supposedly found a new place, bought a place, purely by luck, came across a large sum of inheritance, and was able to buy a place. So that was supposed to happen early February, and then she was like, oh well, I need to push it back. She was like, well, I have to wait for like this closing date for something, which is supposed to be actually today that I'm filming this, so I don't really know what's happening with that, but we're basically waiting for that all to go down so we can go and finally help my grandma move and finally just get to be like at peace here. You just get to be retired and relax and not worry about that sitting there still anymore. Like, I can't imagine the relief for her that that's gonna bring. And I know, I'm sure she probably feels better also knowing that my mom has a place to go. Well, hopefully that's true. Anyway, my brother. So my mom had a baby right around when I had Millie. At the beginning of 2022, she had my little brother. He was born addicted to the drugs that she was doing, had health problems because of it, stayed in the NICU, and luckily the people at the hospital like realized what was going on. She wasn't gonna be able to take him home unless like my grandma signed that she would be responsible for him, and my grandma is in her late 70s. She already takes care of my 2 other sisters. She should not have been in that position and should not be taking care of a newborn baby. She already goes above and beyond and does way more than she has to do. That for me, I was like, no, I'm absolutely not gonna watch my grandma, who should be retired now and is still working to support those kids, and unfortunately my mom. I had a 2-month-old baby at the time, Millie. So I went and as soon as I found out he was coming home from the NICU, I went to the house. It was a disaster. He was able to stay with family for a little bit, right, when he was born, right? And I, like, at the time, like, was so back and forth on wanting to adopt him myself. Or foster him, or at least, like, whatever, myself. I wanted to so badly. And it's something that has, like, been weighing on me so heavily since. But at the same time, I didn't want to just jump into taking on a whole nother baby when I already had a 2-month-old baby myself. We already have a lot on our plate. I don't know. It was a lot, but another relative came out and was able to take care of him at the time. It's complicated and it's kind of a corrupt system in some ways, and I understand a lot of why they do things the way that they do. but basically just to give like a simple explanation is that his biological parents still get to kind of have a say in what happens with him, because like they don't just immediately terminate their rights for something like that, I guess. So they're basically like get to give them another chance to prove that they can take care of him. So, you know, like go get help and test it and all of these different things to prove that they can turn their lives around and be parents. Unfortunately, they can't really factor in their previous history with their other children. In my opinion, you should be able to look at the fact that she doesn't have any of her other kids and doesn't really care for any of them and be like, okay, well, why like put this kid through the foster system when we could put him with a family member that's here and wants him. My relative came to care for him until it finally came down to the point where I was like, okay, like she's just here, and like his parents were getting to see him. My relative, who came from another state and was like, couldn't just stay here indefinitely, ended up having to go home, and then my mom either had to choose to let him go with the relative, stay with family, or go into the foster system, and she chose like to let him go into the foster system. And I want to say it's because she wanted to continue to develop a relationship with him, but honestly I think it was completely just out of spite. It was all just like our family just like is crazy and we just hate her, and it's just we're all just against her, because that's like the kind of mentality that people like that have. They just victimize themselves, they can do no wrong. That is where he's been. I am out of state to them, so they're in Maryland, I'm in Delaware. Even though we're right next to each other, I'm out of state, so him coming with me wasn't that simple. It would have been a whole like ICPC transfer, and I probably would have to go through like getting certified as a foster parent, and it was like the goal is for him to be with this relative, because for him to be with me, I would do it. I would do it, and I honestly, like, it's still not out of the question if it needs to be done. If we can get him to be with this other relative, it just makes more sense for him. She doesn't have 3 kids under 4 years old. So, and I mean, again, I would do it. But, like, I feel like he would have, like, some better opportunities with her. And we'd still get to be in his life. We feel like him being placed with this foster family was kind of, like, a means to get to a better end point than just being in this like weird limbo. That's why I haven't done anything, because we've been waiting for this next court date, which now that he's 1 year old, they usually at that point have to look for permanency. So they have to kind of say like, okay, have the parents proven that they're ready to have him back, and if not, he needs to be in a permanent home, which is hopefully first going to be a relative, and then if there isn't any other relatives, then the foster family or a foster family. This is coming up next week, so I've honestly been like I've had so much anxiety like recently just coming up to these dates, because like, as you guys know from following me, like it's always just been like waiting for the next thing to happen. Basically at this next date, we're hoping that things will go in the right direction, and they'll say, okay, like it's been over a year, but he's been in foster care and it's time to find a permanent placement, which is going to be hopefully this relative. So that's happening next week. If everyone could just pray for my little brother and pray that the judge on his case is able to see the true situation and make the right decision for him, whatever that may be, because I'm not even saying that I know what that is. I know you guys have all like always had us and him in your prayers, and I appreciate that so much. But yeah, if everyone could just pray for him. I hope that clears everything up, because I just know I always saw like so many questions about like, why don't you have him, like what's going on, are you gonna adopt him? Once we have an answer next week, like once that happens, like it still will probably be like a few more weeks, if not a few months, before that actually is like the transfer actually happens. If that does go through, he will be reunited with family again, and I will cry for a week. Yeah. Truthfully though, if that isn't like the case and like that can't happen, I'm just gonna do everything that I can do, even reasoning with people to see if he can come and be with us, because I'm at a point where, you know, like he's older, Millie's older, and I'm at a point where like I don't know how I would go on with my life if I didn't put up more of a fight for him. Obviously right now we're in like a waiting period, but if after, you know, like I would not be able to live knowing I didn't put up my biggest fight for him to be with family. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Wow, this has been like 30 minutes. I'm about to bring the girls over to my grandma's. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Check out all of our other socials down below. We'll see you in the next video.